Today, we're going to be going over the best loadout for bugs in Helldivers 2. So yeah, we're doing a Helldivers 2 meta loadout for bugs or the Terminids. So let's jump into it, and first things first, let's go over to the armor. So for armor, like last time, basically light armor, that's really good for running around. Heavy armor is good for missions where you've got a very small map. Personally, I always like to go with medium armor. The reason for this is because it's a pretty versatile all-around armor. Now, the armor that I'd recommend is the same as the armor that I sort of always recommend. It's the DP40 Hero of the Federation armor set. The reason I like this armor set so much is because it's pretty well balanced. You've got 100 armor rating, you got 500 speed, so you're not quite as fast as these lighter armors, but you're also not quite as slow as these. Your armor rating's a little bit lower, but here it's a little bit higher. And yeah, overall, I think the DP40 Hero of the Federation is a really good pick. Also, this one, the ST34 Infiltrator, that's sort of a decent, one if you're looking for speed, but you don't want to give up too much armor. The one thing I'd say that's a negative here is it's more of a stealth armor build, so that sort of, it can work, it might not work, it really depends on how your group is running Helldivers 2 in general. Now, for the Hero of the Federation armor, I like it because you got that 50% chance to not die when taking lethal damage, and it prevents all damage from bleeding if chest hemorrhages. So those are two really good traits. Those are going to keep you from dying. That's always good. It makes the armor a little bit more armory, and yeah, overall, I do like this one. Now, helmet and cape, like always, do not matter. So let's get into the weaponry, because this is where it gets a little interesting. So the thing with bugs is they are very lightly armored. So any of these guns that are sort of for medium armor, I wouldn't really even bother with them, to be honest. What I am going to recommend, however, is the shotgun. With bugs, you tend to want something that's just going to shoot them one hit, blow them up, and then you move on to the next one. This is why I like the shotgun. The SG8 Punisher is my go-to gun, just because it does a really good amount of damage. There's some other good guns too, like if you can't deal with the recoil and you want something with a faster fire rate, this one's not too bad, but you're going to notice the capacity here is a little bit lower. Even though you've got a lower recoil, it still does suck because your fire rate is super high and you blow through that ammo just a little too fast, in my opinion. This one, on the other hand, has a higher capacity, but again, it has a lower damage. Personally, I still like the SG8 Punisher because it tends to be like a one-hit kill for a lot of the lower-level bugs, and some of the bigger ones, you can fire a few bullets in and they're gone. For the secondary, it really doesn't matter here. I barely ever use secondaries against bugs. The pistol works. I don't know. Go with the Redeemer. Go with the Peacemaker. It doesn't really matter. Personally, I always go with the Redeemer, but that's just me. Now, for the grenade, I'm going to go with the G16 Impact Grenade here. It's really good for just throwing into a sort of mob of bugs. It works out really well. That's my recommendation. These other ones, they do work, but it just doesn't work as well, in my opinion. The high explosives damages lightly armored target, creates high damage over a small area when detonated. This can be actually pretty good for bugs. It just depends how good you are at landing that grenade in the right spot. The impact grenade is a little bit more foolproof, so I do like it. Now let's go into the stratagem layout, because this is also pretty important. So stratagems, here is how you are going to do it. For your loadout, I still like the Eagle 500 kilogram bomb. This is a great one for just blowing up bosses. One comes, throw that on it, it's going to blow it up. The orbital laser can be just as good, but it really depends on personal preference. I like the bombs. Takes a little bit longer to hit, but it's a little bit easier to land your hits, in my opinion. Next up, I'd like a napalm airstrike. The reason I like this is it's really good to throw if you're sort of backing off and you got a huge rush of bugs following you. It's going to be able to take out a lot of those little guys pretty quickly, and in general, bugs don't like fire, which is the same reason that I would recommend the flamethrower. Bugs don't like fire. Now, for the next thing that you're going to want to pick, it really depends on your preference. The shield generator pack can be pretty nice, but it's not as effective against bugs. So in this case, generally, if I'm going with something that's more of a defensive mission, I'm going to pick one of these. I'm going to pick like a machine gun, something like that. If I'm going into something where I'm going to be running around a little bit more, I sometimes will pick up a second sort of gun, right? Like machine guns are pretty decent. Snipers, grenade launchers, those are all a lot of fun to go with. This one's really up to you. It depends what works out best. The guard dog, that's always a pretty safe choice if you're looking for that. And then when it comes to boosters, vitality enhancements, that's always my go-to if no one else has picked it. Otherwise, muscle enhancements are good for some of those bigger maps where you got traverse terrain. Increasing stamina is nice. Radar doesn't really matter that much. Hellpod coming fully stacked, that is nice too. But yeah, that is my Helldivers 2 bug loadout. If you get any questions, suggestions, improvements, or anything like that, please make sure you let me know down below in the comments. Otherwise, if this helped you out, if this build works, please make sure you hit subscribe. And until next time, peace.